What's going on, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Can I Kick It? This is your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and joining me is my good man,
Shannon II.
And we are here. We are here to talk about one of Africa's greatest talents, the motherland itself, Cameroon legend, Samuel Eto'o. Fossey? Is it Fossey?
Feast. Yes.
Never knew that was his last name. I swear I thought his last name
was Eto'o. Yeah, a lot of people did, but another little fun fact about him. He is a chief in the Kafu-Balom region of Sierra Leone.
I mean, for what this man did, I expect him to be nothing less than that. And before we start this podcast, I just want to say, I'm so glad we do this podcast because not only we get to talk about legends in the black community of soccer, we get to talk about how important their career was and what they've done on and off the pitch. But for someone that didn't start watching soccer until the 2010 World Cup, and didn't start watching league soccer until the 2014 World Cup, I'm really glad that I get the opportunity to talk about Samuel Eto'o because only thing I hear about Eto'o, what I remember is Chelsea, Everton, and then
the tail end of his
tail
career.
end. So I never really got to see the Barcelona years, the Inter Milan years. I only got to see him do YouTube clips or people talking about it or podcasts.
Yeah.
And like I just said to you before we started recording, his career truly reminds me of Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yep.
Where it's you really only focus on. For Hakeem, you only really hear about the middle part of the 90s when Jordan retired.
Yeah.
But you don't realize he was part of the Five Slamma Jamma team and the great run he had in the 80s, and he was part of the Twin Towers of Houston, and how they tried to make an early trio with Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, and him, and Clyde Drexler. You don't hear about that era of it. So getting to do this podcast on Samuel Eto'o, I'm all ears. I'm ready.
Yeah, going in. I mean, and I mean, he's a legend. He's put up there with the likes. He is ranked as one of the top 3 African players, along with the likes of George Weah and DJ Drogba, which is just a big shout because they are. I mean, George Weah himself is a living legend. DJ Drogba is also a living legend, and Samuel Eto'o rightfully belongs up there with those two names.
Oh yeah, when I think about great Africans in soccer, of course George Weah, Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, Yaya Toure. Those
are the 4 big names. Yeah,
those
are the 4 big names. You hear a little bit about Okocha, and especially now you're hearing a lot more, especially with regards to the likes of Aubameyang and Mane and Salah. However, it will take a lot. I know that for all 3 of those players, there's still a lot of time left in their career, but it will take a lot, at least in my eyes, for players like Salah, Mane, Aubameyang to reach the heights in terms of legendom as Samuel Eto'o. Because, I mean, I understand that, we had last year which was a great year for Africa in the Premier League, where Salah, Mane, and Aubameyang were joint top scorers of the league. And that's great for Africa. But I don't think, at least not yet, none of them hold a candle to Eto'o.
See, for me, it's a little bit different because of how when I started into the game, so around 2014, he was at Turkey.
Yeah. This
was Chelsea Everton. So I saw that Eto'o. And I'm so I
you saw a few moments of brilliance, but yeah.
So it's I don't hear about Eto'o being talked about as the legend that you're talking about him. I remember him from this. Whereas Didier Drogba, in my head, it wasn't until I did more research on Didier Drogba. Oh, also, by the way, that podcast is coming.
Oh, it's coming.
Trust us.
It's coming.
That I did, I swore I thought, his whole playing career was Chelsea.
Yeah.
Eto'o, it wasn't when I first learned about Samuel Eto'o, it was, I just all heard about Inter. And then I realized, then the more I learned about it, it was Barca. And then I realized that he started off really Real Madrid. And I'm like, wait, don't Real Madrid and Barca, aren't they rivals? Don't they hate each other? Like, how did this work out?
There's definitely some space between Real and Barca, which makes him not a traitor.
To my knowledge, there's only one person that was loved by both fan base, and that's the original R9.
Yeah.
Because Luis Figo caught hell.
Yeah. No. And I mean, I think you can say that the only other player who only played for one but was loved by both is Ronaldinho. I mean, he's loved by everybody.
Yeah. But that's it. So when Eto'o starts, he first tried to go to illegally move to France because the Cameroon-French connection and all that stuff.
Yes, that's definitely.
And he illegally tried to live there for 6 months. It didn't really work out, so he kept getting sent back. So he's kind of playing at this academy almost. The Kaji Sports Academy. He's kind of playing there. There was so we watched the Tifo football video, and it was just like, Scott walked up to him and was like, "Hey, you want to play for Real Madrid?" And he just said, "Yeah." And in my head, I'm thinking like, that is sketchy. Like, how did you just be like, let's do it? But then, I had to the more me and you talked about it, we also realized that's how it is when it comes to football in Africa. It's not you're not playing. You're not when you're growing up in Africa. And then overlap is kind of you see here in America, the goal isn't to become the greatest player here, is to go to Europe and be the greatest player there
because that's the hotbed. Yeah. That's the Mecca.
That's where you want to go. That's the Duke, that's the UNC there.
Yeah.
Where also in Africa is a lot of the teams there, they're feeder clubs. Even though great teams, they're feeder clubs because we want to get you over there so we can collect the check.
Yeah, and that's one thing that it's interesting, and it goes to show the money that goes into football around the world without pay to play is that you have in some of these countries that are financially struggling, you have state of the art soccer facilities.
Oh yeah,
in countries like Cameroon, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, you have a situation where you'll have extremely poor, dire situations, and right next door there is a very well manicured soccer facility. The fields look better than Old Trafford. It's crazy, and you think to yourself, where is all this money coming from? Well, when you are the one who developed Samuel Eto'o, you get that Samuel Eto'o money.
Yeah, exactly.
So you see the same thing in Argentina, in Brazil, in Colombia, and all of that.
So Eto'o, pretty much, he can't play for Real Madrid firstly because he's a minor, so he has to go to Real Madrid B.
Yeah.
So pretty much when Real Madrid B gets relegated from Segunda B, they go down to the third tier, which is the Segunda Division B. Non-EU players aren't allowed to play.
Yeah, so he can't play.
He can't play.
I mean, it's unfortunate. It's nothing wrong with that.
He pretty much just goes on loan. He goes to Leganes for the 97-86 after making 30 appearances, and he only scored 4 goals. He goes back to Real Madrid. And he doesn't really even get playing time. It's not like Madrid are trying to be you're somebody for the future. We're going to give you playing time here, there. We're going to try to give you 900 minutes over the season. It's kind of just you want to hold a shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're looking at a Real Madrid around '98. This is.
I think this is pre-Galacticos.
This is pre-Galacticos, but it's the start of that era where Real Madrid is the giant, and
they're not looking to develop youth.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they are, but they're you ain't ready to roll with the big boys yet. It's kind of that mentality. So I do like the fact that Real Madrid, even though they're you're not playing with the first team, you're not there yet. They are still all right, let's put him out on loan here. Let's put him out on loan there. Let's try and make sure he's getting training, he's getting playing time, he's getting, the repetition of field play that he needs, that maybe one day we'll be able to use him.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end up happening. But still, that development does happen. Yeah. And when you look at clubs like Leganes and Espanyol especially, it takes a lot to be a local rival to a club like Barcelona, even at that time. So Espanyol, that's a big enough club for him to be able to learn a lot at. So
he only made one of the players, and that was in the Copa del Rey. So after that year, he goes to Mallorca, and this is where. So you remember Copa 90, right?
Yes.
On YouTube. So you remember Eli? He used to make the videos of like the derbies.
Yes.
So there was a video on Mallorca, and this is where I really like did a more deep dive of Samuel Eto'o, because I like in my head I thought Eto'o's career was Barcelona, Inter, and he decided to go to Turkey. Like that's what I really thought.
Yeah.
I didn't
you're
realize
at Chelsea, you're at Everton, and then bye.
And it was a part in that video where he's talking to this older guy, and if you heard clapping, that's my wife downstairs watching the Steelers. She's excited. So there's a part in that video where he's talking to this older guy about Mallorca, and the guy is like, "Yeah, Samuel Eto'o stayed at my house," and I paused it. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Hold on," and he was just talking about how like. But even he was talking about how like Samuel Eto'o grabbed so much onto Mallorca and how much he was so in love with the part. He even said it like I like it here in Mallorca. It's always been well looked after. The fans appreciate me, and I also have a contract that runs out of 2007. And he was like, I want to be here. Not only does he was their club record fee when he signed on to him for $4.4 million. He went on to be the record goal scorer in La Liga with 54 goals.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, his time in Mallorca was like legendary stuff. It's really that stuff where you know you have someone that is too talented to be there, but he's not in a rush to leave because he's like,
I love this place. Yeah.
Prime example, Cesargi with Richmond.
Yeah.
You can ask any Richmond Kickers fan. We all know that man is too good to be played.
He is.
But he loves it. We love him. So we're willing to take it.
Hey, you can stay right here.
But that's really like what it comes down to, and that's why I made that comparison to like Hakeem Olajuwon, where like if you look at Hakeem's career, he was so good at Houston. Him and Ralph Sampson in the Towers of Domination in the late '80s with Houston. But it was like that weird point you could tell like, does he have enough to get to the next, to get to the Western Conference Finals, to get over the Lakers, to get over Portland?
Yeah.
You know, to get to a finals, to win a finals, is he going to leave to go to LA? Is he going to leave to go to a Boston? Is he going to leave to go to a Philly? But he loved Houston so much that he decided to stay. And that's the same thing with Eto'o. Like, if I don't have to leave, I'm not going to leave. I say all that to say he left in 2004 to go to Barcelona. But before he left, he also got Real Mallorca to a Copa del Rey final where he scored twice late goals to win Copa del Rey for them. So he left on great terms. And I kind of think at that point where it's like, all right, I hit my heights here. There's not much I can do to elevate and kind of push this club to do more and be more. Let me now transition to the bigger beast, which is FC Barcelona, which he goes into 2004.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I didn't realize his time in Barcelona was so short. It's only 3 years.
3 years. Well, I think he leaves in 2009. It's 3 years under Frank Rijkaard.
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 I corrected you in the name. Finally.
Yeah.
Everyone listening is like 1 for Elliot, 20 for Chanel.
But yeah, I mean, because after that, Pep Guardiola comes in, the Pep system comes in, and apparently Eto'o and Pep don't really get along very well. But
it's kind of a theme in Pep's career.
In Pep's career, I mean, there's always that one player that's like, I don't like this guy. But, I mean, to go before then, under Rijkaard, Eto'o, I mean, he comes in to Barcelona like a hurricane.
So, this is the crazy thing. Before he even goes to Barcelona, it's a 3-way deal between Mallorca, Real Madrid, and Barcelona.
Yeah.
The only reason why Real Madrid is in this deal is because there was a clause in the transfer when he originally went to Mallorca that if he gets sold for any fee over $10 million, we get a loan. We have the option of putting in a buyback clause in his next contract. So when he moved to Barcelona, Florentino Perez tried to put a buyback clause in it, and was trying to buy him back to come to Real Madrid to put him back on loan
at Barca.
And Barca or anywhere. But Barca was like, to Mallorca, we'll give $24 million. So initially, Real Madrid was like, and I already kind of go into the Galacticos phase. It's like, all right, that works for us.
Yeah.
And kind of just put it that way. But they're like, once again, parallel universe. There's a universe where Samuel Eto'o is a Real Madrid legend in the Galacticos era, playing with Zinedine Zidane.
And Ronaldo and Raul and Beckham and McManaman and Roberto Carlos. Jeez. Yeah. It's insane.
It's that insane.
That is insane. I mean, but it goes to show you, but if you really think about it, I don't think in terms of on the pitch his career would change that much, because if you look at the Barcelona squad, because we need to realize that while the Galacticos are coming into fruition with Real Madrid, Barcelona is a dark horse Galacticos forming as well, with some of the players that they had coming up in that system. And it kind of shows that disparity between Real Madrid and Barcelona, is that one buys its players, the other one develops its players, but they still end up on the same. But they still end up on the same level.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, like, the only difference we would probably have would be that we wouldn't have as much off the field drama, or maybe different off the field drama, with Samuel Eto'o at Real Madrid as opposed to Barcelona, which is insane to think about. I mean, him being a Real Madrid player and not a Barcelona player, would he have gotten the move to Inter? Would that trade?
Would he have, winning the Champions League, being part of the trouble team, 2 back-to-back trouble teams? There's a lot that changes.
Yeah,
but he went to Barcelona, and the rest is pretty much not history, but he kind of embraces it, because this is the thing I realized about Samuel Eto'o. This man is vindictive. Like, he holds grudges.
He does.
This man got a fine for $12,000 because he said
€12,000.
Yeah,
which is probably somewhere around $20,000.
Madrid bastards salute the champions, which is like, dude, you just won La Liga. Why are you worried about Madrid? That's what Eto'o is. Like, he creates many rivalries in his head.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's many rivalries in his head. I think to a certain extent, it's him basically kind of sticking it to Real Madrid. It's like, you were so worried about buying big name. You had a big name under your belt, and you just got rid of him. And now look at me.
Yeah,
I'm on top of you now. I could have been doing this with y'all, but now you guys are watching me do this with another club. You're rivals at that. You're bitter rivals at that.
And the thing was, it wasn't like he was just this guy that scored, a bunch of goals against no names. No, he scored big goals when they mattered. He contributed 6 goals on Barcelona's run to the Champions League title. And in the final, after Jens Lehmann fouled Eto'o for bringing him outside the penalty box, goes on and scores a goal.
Yep.
And he was awarded with his best forward of the year for his accomplishments in the European campaign. Also during this time, he wins the African Player of the Year 3 years in a row, which is historic. I mean, that's pretty much like Africa's MVP. You win that 3 years in a row. Like, we already talked about one person who won it, George Weah. He won it only twice.
Yeah.
And this is also the same time where he's having to deal with Yaya Toure coming through his glory years.
Yeah.
That, like, Eto'o was just on a different level. Didier Drogba as well. Like, he was on a different
and that's the thing. You see a lot of comparison between him and DJ Drogba, because they were roughly in the same era. There's the Eto'o versus DJ Drogba. Which one was better? Which one was a better player?
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Elliot. I know you guys are really enjoying this real unique story.
but we got to pay bills around here. So, make sure we provide you guys with more unique episodes. So, the sponsor is from the Non-League America, who has been exploring the diversity of the United States through the lens of soccer since 2012. Non-League America makes documentaries highlighting ambitious clubs that are pushing the boundaries of what is possible both within the confines and just outside the system, built without their interests in mind. These clubs are building the foundation of American soccer community from the ground up. So, if you support us, go support them. Check out their latest documentary, Non-League America, Volume 15, More Than Ready, the story of Goes Barrow Strike Eagles FC on Facebook or YouTube. And also make sure to follow them at Non-League USA on Twitter or on Facebook. So, with that being said, here's back to the episode.
I can see Eto'o and DJ Drogba being the African Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Because they're two different types of players. When you look at how creative and how deceptive Eto'o can be on the field and how much he can hit you from anywhere, in any way, at any moment, it's very reminiscent of Messi. And it's interesting because he actually is one of the players who paved the way for Messi at Barcelona. I mean, we all, know the famed story of, Ronaldinho being the one to kind of shepherd Messi into that role and being the one to assist his first Barcelona senior team goal. But Eto'o was there throughout that time as well. Throughout the time where Messi was being developed in the youth academy and having his stints with the reserves, that Eto'o did play a big part in whom Lionel Messi is in terms of a player.
And that's something that I don't hear talked about as much. Because when it comes to
it's because of Ronaldinho. It's because of the presence of Ronaldinho, and it's hard to outshine Ronaldinho. I mean, it's nearly impossible to outshine Ronaldinho in what he brought to the game. But I see Samuel Eto'o for Barcelona the way Karim Benzema is looked at now at Real Madrid. When you think Real Madrid, Karim Benzema, especially around the time of Gareth Bale, Ronaldo, Modric in his prime, you don't look at Benzema as up there. But I mean, he low key is like the leading scorer regularly for Real Madrid, and he's that player that you don't notice when he's there, but he's like the bass in a band. You don't really notice it, but you take it out, you will notice it. And that's Samuel Eto'o. You'll see those goals missing when he's not there. You'll see wait, normally we're up 4-0 right now. What happened? Oh, we're missing 2 goals at least from Samuel Eto'o because he's not here. So and I think that's one thing that is the reason why people don't really talk about as much how much of an impact Eto'o had on Messi's career or on Messi's upbringing as a player in Barcelona. But he did play a big role.
And another thing too, for really the 2006-2007 season, he was at all-time peak high.
Yes.
I wouldn't say he was about to hit a downfall, but he ruptured his meniscus. He missed most part of that year. Comes back. 07-09 is where I want to say the phasing out of Eto'o begins. Stuff kind of starts.
Guardiola era.
Yeah, it kind of starts getting to that point. But something hilarious that I found out. Guess when Eto'o's first hat trick was in league play? Mind you, this is one who scored multiple goals, is a league top scorer, Petici winner.
In that was against I remember their home jersey is similar. Levante.
Yeah, 2008.
Yes.
And that's so weird to me that this man, that's his first league hat trick.
Yes.
And I'm like, normally you would think if you're the league top scorer or something, then you would have hat tricks
left and right. Yeah.
That's absurd. That's something that just stuck out to me.
Well, that shows the style of La Liga. The thing with Samuel Eto'o is, gosh, I mean, I'm just thinking. Imagine he had gone to a club like Chelsea or Everton a little before when he did. You're looking at a player who knows how to find the space in such a fast-paced league like the Premier League. he would have been up there with Luis Suarez scoring goals. But the Spanish league is so much more technical that those pockets of space that he lives in aren't as frequent. They'll appear in every game, and he'll find that one moment, and he'll score, and he'll punish you for it. But they're very rare to happen within each game. And so because of that, you're not going to get a situation where he's scoring 3-4 goals a game. Yeah. He might get 2, but it usually caps at there because it's like, yeah, watch him. So
now it's been kind of reported that him and Pep Guardiola did not have the best of friendships.
They were. Yeah.
They were not close at all. I mean, it kind of got talked about in length about how Pep Guardiola famously asked him to switch numbers with Thierry Henry in the preseason match. It was like, Henry, you wear 14, I'm going to want you to wear 9, Eto'o, you can pretty much choose whenever. And I don't blame Eto'o. He kind of like took that as a slap in the face. It was just like, yo, I'm a multiple-time Pichichi winner. I've won a Champions League here. My wife agrees with me.
Yep.
And he's done all these amazing things, and yet you're going to act as if I've done nothing? Like...
Yeah, and that was, I view that as Pep Guardiola doing the Pep Guardiola thing of overcomplicating and overthinking things. It's like, maybe if I change and put this player as the no, just work with what works.
Now, look, I understand that. Don't get me wrong. Pep Guardiola's false nine system at Barcelona is. There's already books written about it. It's something that's going to be taught in college classes.
Exactly.
At some point. It's legendary.
True, but if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Which is my viewpoint on it.
Don't fix it in terms of asking Samuel Eto'o to change number just because you have a petty squabble with him. If you would have put Eto'o on the right wing, that's great. But don't sit here and act like Eto'o didn't go above and beyond to be this legend of which he is.
Yeah, no, I think it was a moment in Pep's career where I personally think it should be something that he should regret throughout his career, and because at the end of the day, when you look at what Samuel Eto'o can bring for you, yes, you have some other players that can bring some craziness, but you need to realize. This is before Thierry Henry. This is before Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
So he is your best player, your best goal scorer by far. Yeah. He is your best goal scorer by far. So at this point, I do feel that you don't do that to your best goal scorer, to your top goal scorer, and it's crazy that every single year at Barcelona. He is one of the top scorers of the league. One of the top scorers of the team. He is up there. He is considered one of the top names. Close to winning the Pichichi almost every year that he's at Barcelona.
And look, even though him and Pep had their differences, it wasn't like this man won't win trophies.
Oh, no. He was still winning stuff.
He was still winning. Man, look, he went on to go win a treble his last year at Barcelona. His last game is the Champions League final. In which they win the treble against... Manchester United.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't have to live this pain. You did.
I lived this pain, and it was...
I only know United to be an average club. They're like the Dallas Cowboys.
No, this is the time where... This was the year after... I think the year after United had just beat Chelsea to win it. Or was it... No. I think it was a couple of years after that. Yeah, it was... I think 2007 was the year United... won it over Chelsea in penalty kicks.
No, 08. It was 08.
It was 08. Okay, so the year before, we won the Champions League. It was like, we're back again. We're going to do it again, and then...
Didn't y'all make it 3 out of 4 years in a row? Well,
3 years in a row. 3 years in a row.
3?
Yep, because the following year, it was again Manchester United and Barcelona. And
no, it wasn't. It was 3 out of 4. Because 2010 is the Inter Bayern Munich, which Eto'o wins.
Inter Bayern Munich, yes. And then the following year, we're back again against Barcelona. But this time we scored a goal. It's 2-1. It's 2-1.
Wayne Rooney. Small victories.
Thanks to Wayne Rooney. But anyway.
But yeah, pretty much Barcelona goes on to win that final 2-0. They win the treble. Lionel Messi has 38 goals. Eto'o has 36.
And
Henry has 26.
I mean, it's to show you.
They score exactly 100 goals a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude, imagine if you
just
scored...
looking that spreading of the goals, that's just basically them out there being like, you want to score this one? Your turn. Oh, no, he scored the last one. It's your turn.
Like, really? You know how we came up with MSN? That thing was meh.
Yeah.
And meh scored 100 goals. Meh got a treble.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. But, I mean, obviously Pep and Eto'o stuff was kind of getting to the point where it wasn't salvageable anymore. I mean,
it was
Xavi, Puyol, Ronaldinho. It was Iniesta, Leo, and Henry pretty much sat in the room. And Barca's team manager at the time came to Eto'o and was like, hey, look, there's someone here that wants to talk to you. Eto'o himself thought it was, this is when they were in the United States.
Yeah, this was on the U.S.
And
tour.
Eto'o thought it was Beyonce, so he's like getting all dressed up, ready, like, I'm about to go be Beyonce, baby. And he goes into the room, and he sees his teammates, and he's like, well, this is a bummer. And then he sees
an intervention moment.
And then he sees Pep Guardiola behind him, and he was like, normally when he sees Pep, it's not like normal term, because even this year when he went to trouble, he only talked to Pep twice.
Yep.
Once when Pep was like, oh, hey, this is how you play striker, and Eto'o famously told him, you're a horrible footballer. Why am I taking lessons from you?
Yeah.
Which...
I mean, at the end of the day, I think is a bit incorrect. I can understand him saying, you're not a striker. Don't talk to me about how to be a striker, because Guardiola is a Barcelona player
fine.
As a central defensive midfielder. Don't tell a striker how to strike.
That's fine. The fact that you said that to somebody is savage.
No, Eto'o don't play. But, I mean, here's the thing, though. And this is where, yes, you mentioned Elijah Wan, but I could equate this part reminds me of Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
He'll talk a lot of crap, but he'll back it up. So at the end of the day, Eto'o's telling him, you can't tell me how to be a striker. He has the stats to prove it.
This whole relationship between Pep and Eto'o is no more than Phil Jackson and Kobe.
Yeah.
That's all this is. This is all this is. And the other crazy thing about it is, the other time that he talked to him was about Yaya Toure, and Yaya Toure was like, I ain't talked to this man in 2 years. I don't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
So... that's all I'm saying. So it got to that point where it was like, and I understand wholeheartedly what Eto'o was coming from. He was like, I'm not going to apologize to a man who disrespected me first.
Yeah.
And I've done everything that he's asked me to do, in spite of him disrespecting me.
It's like, I gave you trophies upon trophies, and you still haven't apologized to what you did to me.
Yeah.
For what you did to me. And that to be honest, true, if you really think about it, it's like, well, he has every right to be upset. Because you're going to take his number 9 away from him, and he's still going to bring you trophies. You go into that, and that day that they have that intervention was on a U.S. tour. You put Samuel Eto'o in with 20 minutes left, and Eto'o scores like 3 goals.
Pep just looked like a ghost.
Pep just was like, well, that makes you. It kind of is a slap in the face to him. Like, yeah, this you sit me out, you struggle to score, you put me in, goals go in. So why did you take the number 9 away from me?
Yeah, exactly.
And it goes to show you that a lot of. A lot of pettiness that goes on in the world of soccer, but at the end of the day, I do feel that as a player, you do need to stand your ground at certain points, and Samuel Eto'o at this point stood his ground.
Yeah. So at the end of them in trouble, Eto'o gets famously traded. It's weird to say a trade in soccer, but he gets traded to Inter Milan. Zlatan comes the other way. Zlatan's another player who had problems with Pep.
I don't think Zlatan made a full season. Made it a full season at Barca before he was like, you know what, I'm not putting up with this.
But he goes to Inter Milan, and he joins Jose Mourinho's another treble winning squad. And this is a team that the 2010 World Cup is where I learned a lot about this team. Because, like, at the time, like, one of my favorite players in 2010 World Cup that I love watching was Wesley Sneijder. and how Westner got robbed of the Ballon d'Or that year. And that was kind of like the whole, kind of like the underlying theme around that Netherlands squad was, one, they're not playing the typical Netherlands soccer, which is my mind. I'm like, what is Netherlands soccer? Like,
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the Barcelona style comes from the Dutch style.
Yeah, which Elliot, 2010, fresh out of freshman of college, and I'm just watching.
Know what that means.
I'm at the bar watching this dude. I don't care. But hearing that, and then the other underlying story of was this is kind of the generation dying out, and how are they going to do? And Wesley Sneijder is carrying the team with Arjen Robben.
Yeah, and you got this situation of yes, you know, the Dutch style of play kind of disappearing, but then watching Spain playing the Dutch style of play, because at least 60% of Spain's team was Barcelona, the other 40% was Real Madrid. So so you had it's kind of like it's kind of that moment where it's almost as if to say you see Spain leached that style out of the Netherlands and destroyed them with it, of sorts.
Now, he signs on for a 5-year deal in July, and the question actually comes up, well, how are you going to compare this last time? He says, like, don't compare me to him. I've done more. I'm the one that, if it wasn't for me, this deal doesn't get done.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah,
you know?
And he said, he basically, what he has contributed to the game adds enough value to his name that you don't need to be comparing him with anyone else.
Yeah, pretty much.
To a certain extent, yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah. And this is where I think we also have another overlap, because in this treble winning squad is another player that we've talked about, Mario Balotelli. Yes. And learning from someone like Samuel Eto'o, who, man, he was in his bag.
Yeah.
He was in his bag that year, man. He finished 5th in the Ballon d'Or, and I understand Lionel Messi was in God mode, but if it weren't for Messi, Eto'o should have won that thing. Ain't no way he should have finished.
If it wasn't for Messi, Eto'o would have won. And it's crazy because if it wasn't for the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, you have, I mean, the amount of players that would have gotten their due praises, it would have been a laundry list.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people say, oh, we're now living in an era where there are only 2 good soccer players. No, it's just that they're just so far better than everyone else that you're forgetting the talent that's there. You're forgetting the Samuel Eto'os. You're forgetting the DJ Drogbas, the Snyderlands, the players of that stature that were, banging in goals left and right. The Wayne Rooneys, the players who were solid. If you said, would you like such player? I'm ripping your arm off to get that player.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that it happens around the time of the Messi Ronaldo dominance that comes into play.
Now, the last great year we see of Eto'o is really 2010-2011. After they won the treble against Bayern Munich, and he scores in the PK against them. That was, not the PK against Bayern Munich, but he scored a bunch of goals for Inter Milan. It's really 2010-2011, which he effectively even scored more goals. His first year in 09-10, he had 48 appearances, 16 goals. 2010-2011, 53 appearances, 37 goals.
Yeah.
And he's just, you can tell, man. It's like, I don't know, because I couldn't go back and watch 2010-2011. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like he was carrying that team to unprecedented levels. He was.
That Inter team was starting to...
It was starting to die off because Josie was getting ready to go back to Chelsea. I think he already left to go back to Chelsea.
Yep, he had already left to go back to Chelsea.
Yeah, because Benitez took over. And I remember Josie told him, I gave you the keys to the Ferrari. You drove it like a dump truck. But, that second year, they still win the Copa Italia. They win the Super Copa Italia. They get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The Super Cup runner-up. They win the FIFA World Cup. Club Cup, and they finished second in the Serie A. So it's like you can tell at this point you can kind of tell Eto'o is kind of starting to wear down and get tired, and he took a big payday to go to. Now I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, and I've been practicing this all day. Asmid Mekahalika?
Anzi Makashkala. Anzi Makashkala. Yes. Yeah, Makashkala does sound Russian.
Yeah. And
the Russian club, yeah.
Yeah, in the Russian Premier League. And the only thing outside of that is that he become the world's highest paid player at $20.5 million a year.
Yeah.
Bro, if I get $20.5 million a year, you ain't never hearing from me ever again. This podcast's over. You don't know me. I don't know you.
Exactly. I'm buying an island somewhere.
Bro, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. But, I mean, you can tell, he's kind of just taking on one-year deals. And this is where I start realizing him at Chelsea, Everton and stuff. But it's it's just one-year deals. And he's just hopping from team to team to team. And it's not even in the case of where, how can I equate it to? It's not like with players like Richard Jefferson or Randy Moss and others that you can tell, all right, you're not at the peak level that you were. You can still contribute.
Yeah.
But you're ring chasing.
Yeah.
And in Eto'o's career, it's not like he's ring chasing because he's won everything. He's won the Champions League. He's won a FIFA World Cup. He's won La Liga. He's won Serie A. He's won cups. He's
won the Pichichi.
He's won all these
things. The Ballon d'Or, yeah.
And I guess at this point, it's just all right, I want to make money.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, what best played the GOAT in England. That's what they paid the most.
Exactly.
Almost. So.
And I mean, look, he go to Chelsea. He has a good time there.
Yeah.
Really, the famous is that celebration.
Oh, and that celebration is
question.
Iconic.
Question, because both of them were blue, and I'm really starting to doubt myself right now. Was that Chelsea or Everton? He did the celebration. I feel like it was
Chelsea.
Okay.
It was Chelsea because I remember shortly before someone had asked Jose Mourinho about him, and I think this was Jose Mourinho. He accidentally woke a sleeping giant, and I think it was just a playful prod at Eto'o because I think him and Eto'o had a very good relation at Inter Milan. I think Jose Mourinho and Eto'o really saw eye to eye very much so at Inter Milan, and Jose kind of throws a playful jab, basically banter, saying that, oh yeah, Eto'o, he's getting old. He's not, he's not the same Samuel Eto'o. He's getting old. And what does Eto'o do? He goes and scores a goal, and his goal celebration is mimicking an old man walking with a cane. Right. And that was just, to me, that was just brilliance. And I could just imagine Jose Mourinho sitting in his living room watching that and laughing. Because I don't think there was any animosity there with that celebration. It was more like a little jab back from banter. And it was fantastic. So Samuel Eto'o, accused of being old, quote unquote, decides, okay, you're going to say I'm getting old, that I can't do it anymore. He goes and scores a goal, and he reminds everyone that, yeah, you said I was getting old, right? Yeah. So.
And I mean, at this point, after Chelsea and Everton, he goes to Sampdoria, he goes to Ensespor, and Konyaspor. Now, Chelsea, Everton, he doesn't. It's not Eto'o of old. It's kind of like he's just there, kind of being a super sub, but he's not really winning anything with them.
Yeah.
He's not really doing a whole bunch. And pretty much it was in that Everton squad that kind of finished third, kind of languished around. They didn't really do a whole bunch, but they got the Champions League semifinal.
Yeah.
Yay. But then he gets the Ensespor, and he kind of has a rebirth. 32, both back-to-back seasons, 2015-16, 2016-17, 32 games and 20 goals, 30 games, 18 goals. And he kind of is getting back, but you can tell it's not the Eto'o that we
this is the Eto'o that's getting up there in years. He's not going to be as mobile. He's not as, because there's a lot of Eto'o's game that depends a lot on his agility, his quickness, and his speed. And of course, as you get older, he's not gonna sit well. But
oh, we were about to talk about the same thing?
I think so.
Never knew this. Never heard about this. This man was also a player team manager, and I'll let you talk about it because this is hilarious.
It's funny because I mean, you think to yourself, I mean, what has he not done? He hasn't managed a club. All right, we'll fix that problem. So at this club, Antalyaspor, the coach on December 7th of 2015 is sacked. Yusuf Şimşek is sacked as the head coach. And stepping in as interim player manager, enter Samuel Eto'o. For a month, Samuel Eto'o is the player manager for this Turkish club, on which he has a 3-year deal with. I mean, it was only for a month because by January 2nd they get a new manager and it's like, okay, go back to being a player. But it's just funny to see that as a player, he still ends up being a coach to a certain extent, which is weird. It's extremely weird. And you wonder, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's in anything but title for that month. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the Turkish league runs in December because, to my knowledge, I think
they have a break.
Yeah, I think England is the only club that decides the only league that decides to cram in more games during the holidays than to alleviate some holidays.
It could also be like America and just avoid it altogether.
No, I think the Turkish league runs the same
You didn't
calendar.
catch the joke there.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, they run the same calendar as the rest of Europe, but it's funny to see that, you know, Samuel Eto'o, player manager as they would say, because I mean, you know, I'm player manager, I'm starting every game.
I know this man asked for a raise. I know he asked for more money. He was like, "Oh, I'm the best player on the team, and I'm manager. Throw me an extra 50."
Exactly.
I know he did. I know he did. Ain't no way.
Ain't no way he's taking that, like, oh, I'll be player manager, no extra charge. No. Samuel Eto'o is asking for more money.
Exactly. So pretty much, this is the crazy thing too when it comes to Eto'o's career is like Cameroon, his international career, man, like it. I hate to say it, Drogba I remember more for his international career than I do his club career when I first started learning about soccer. Mm-hmm. Eto'o's the other way around, but when I go look at his international career, this man was the Cameroon national team. Like 118 games and scored 56 goals. And by the way, he's the leading, all-time leading goal scorer for Cameroon.
Yeah, and it's gonna. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a while before that record is broken. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, I feel that at the time where Eto'o was on the Cameroon national team was the beginning of the decline of Cameroon as African giants. Around that time, it was Africa and Nigeria. That was it. In the
early 2000s, they did win African Cup of Nations twice and a gold medal in 2000. But after that,
it was a drop off.
Yeah. Even to the point where I think in December of 2011, Eto'o gets suspended 15 games by the Cameroon Federation, pretty much because the team refuses to play Algeria because the Cameroon Federation decided not to pay bonuses.
It was a friendly, and it's like it's a friendly. You have to pay them for that.
Yeah,
those are the exhibition games. Those are the ones you pay them for the most at the end of the day because it's an individual thing. Yeah,
and luckily the ban was reduced to 8 months in 2012, meaning Eto'o will only miss 4 competitive games. But it's still the thing of like you're suspending them for not paying them. Like what?
Yeah. So, and I mean, and you look at them, and it's like, okay. I mean, Samuel Eto'o's like, all right, that's fine with me. I mean, if you didn't pay me, all right, fine, because I'm getting paid $20 million a year. But
I don't know if that's all like that because this is a singer that probably charged to be the manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Eto'o's on his money.
So I could understand that, but not every single player on that Cameroon team.
Oh yeah, no.
Is getting paid Eto'o money. So they need to be paid for for their contribution to the nation's FA.
And the other thing was, like, when he got his first start, like, he was the youngest participant in the '98 FIFA World Cup.
Yep.
And he appeared in the group stage loss. They lost 3-0 to Italy, but he appeared at the age of 17.
Yep.
Like, you could already see young. And once again, another butterfly moment. How many African players have we seen made the move to France? Like, there's a possibility if he can really get that move to France and get a trial with the team, get signed for the team. There's a world where Samuel Eto'o is playing for that French national team in '98. And there's a world where Nicolas Anelka, Thierry Henry, and Samuel Eto'o are the front three for France.
With Zidane behind them. Yeah, you forgot about that part. With Zidane behind them.
That might be the biggest fumble bag ever by France.
Exactly.
Like, knowing what you know now about Eto'o.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So you have the best front three, probably arguably the best front three in the world.
Think about it.
With the best defense, with the best center midfielder in the world.
And then think about it. If he's French, Zidane is going to pull for him to stay at Real Madrid because he knows the talents of him. And this is also when Nicolas Anelka come to Real Madrid. Oh my god!
Yeah. That you have a completely different Galacticos. A completely different Galacticos. Eto'o, Anelka,
I still think Florentino Perez ruins it. But just think, oh my god!
Okay. You're rotating a front two between Ronaldo, Eto'o, and Anelka. Two of those three is starting every game. And it's like, Ronaldo needs a little bit of a break. All right, Eto'o, go ahead in. Ronaldo, sit out for a few games, get your legs back. And Anelka, come on out. Ronaldo in. That wouldn't change anything.
And then you throw in the what ifs of, like, now do you have these other two strikers? Does Ronaldo knees hold up a little bit better? How does Beckham now? Did he go get David Beckham?
No, you get David Beckham because that's just service into three.
I know, but I'm just saying,
strikers.
I'm just saying, like, okay, we're kind of hitting that weird
the rabbit hole.
Yeah, so let's go to the
butterfly effect rabbit hole,
and let's get real. Let's talk about how Eto'o dealt with racism. In his career, which, I mean,
it is a reoccurring theme that we're going to get, I think almost every single player that we feature, every single high end player that we feature, there is going to be that level of racism that you deal with, especially since he went to Inter, and we know how the Italians get with racism.
And he said, like, in 2005, where the first real reported incident happened against Real Zaragoza, where he was just like, I've experienced racism off the field because I'm a black man. Like, I'm not dumb. Yeah. But he was like, on the pitch, I thought it would be different. I thought that what I was doing for the fans wouldn't subject me to it. But hearing monkey chats on the pitch and having bottles thrown at him, he was ready just to walk off the field. And this is where I don't tolerate it at all. And I get actually, like, frustrated with other players and coaches that are trying to make you stay on the field. Because if you go back and look at the clip, and by the way, we'll put the clip in the description down below for those who want to watch it.
Yes.
When you go and look at the clip, it's like, how are y'all trying to justify playing a game where such and such is, like, throwing monkey chats, and y'all can hear this audibly?
And the thing that you get a lot of, and you hear, with the referee saying, "Oh, everything was normal," is, and I'm gonna throw a shout out to someone I know here in Richmond, to Greg Simmons, owner of Futsal RVA, or the director of Futsal RVA. He, as a black man, posted on Twitter, "If you don't live it, you won't understand it." And that is, I feel, the aspect that a lot of other players don't experience. they don't understand it. They just view that monkey chant as just more banter. Just jeering. It's just jeering. No, it's not. As a black man, it means something deeper. It means something more harmful than you suck or...
When you understand the historical context of relating African Americans, people of color, black people, Africans to monkeys, you will understand then why that is a disrespectful term.
It's beyond the normal, because everyone knows.
And it also
the home fans, they're the 12th man.
Yeah.
Their job is to throw the away team off, to do everything they can to disrupt that concentration, to instill fear, because especially if you go to places like Anfield or what's Dortmund Stadium?
Westfalen Stadion?
Yes, the Stadion. You want to instill apprehension and fear and distraction, but there is a limit, and I don't feel that people outside.
It's not a thin line.
It is a thick line. Exactly, and it's one of those situations where I don't think anyone outside of anyone of African descent can truly understand the level that this brings it to.
No, I think people do understand it, because if you can understand how saying the word pig is derogatory of a cop, I don't understand why you can't understand a monkey chant is derogatory to people of color.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, like, you understand one, so you clearly understand how it's derogatory.
Well, you need to understand the difference between that. You choose to be a police officer. I don't choose to be black. Yeah,
but this is a totally different era. I feel like if this happened now, he would have walked out with it, and the players would have walked out with him. But
I can see that, because I do see. You saw that situation happen not too long ago with a player at AC Milan. I think it was a friendly that they were playing, and I think it was Prince. Was it?
I think so.
It was Prince Boateng. Has the ball on the left channel, and I guess racial chants are being... He literally stops, picks up the ball, and punts it at the fans, and walks off.
Oh.
No one stops him. His teammates walk out with him. Yeah. And that's the type of era we're starting to live in now, and slowly but surely we're getting to that point where you're going to get the whole team be like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah, and the other thing too about it is like, this is the first time this happened in Zaragoza with him. It happens the next year.
Yeah.
And even his head coach, Frank Rijkaard, who was of African origin, told him, like, concentrate your football and stop talking about the incident. Which, I understand as a head coach, but also I gotta remember that the presence of being correct and doing the right thing wasn't around in this era.
No.
It wasn't around.
We were living in an era where players of African descent were content in put your head down and keep going.
Yeah, which isn't fair to know.
And I mean, you could you see why, but at the end of the day, you have situations now where you have players that are standing up. Samuel Eto'o is one of the ones that started that movement. You think of players like Samuel Eto'o, Prince Boateng, Patrice Evra, with the situation that happened between him and Luis Suarez. And again, it takes it back to, oh, well, that's petty, he's taking it too personally. Again, I'm going to quote Greg Simmons again. If you don't live it, you don't understand it. Yeah. If you haven't lived it, you will not understand it. So
I think we've reached the part of the podcast where I think we pretty much covered everything about Eto'o's career. It's someone that I'm glad that we spent the time talking about. I know it's a long episode, but it's a real good listen.
It is.
So yeah, I think the best way how to sum up Samuel Eto'o's career is someone that he wasn't valued correctly, and he went to somewhere where he was valued correctly and proved it all against the odds. And that he was pretty much the precursor to players such as Raheem Sterling, Moise Kean, Marcus Rashford, Romelu Lukaku, Jeremy Obobese, players that are of color that not only can be great athletes on the pitch, but be great men off the pitch. And, not only be known for their sporting exploits, but also be known for what they do for their communities.
Yes.
And things like that.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, we need to reiterate, and this is something that I think needs to be expressed more often, that Samuel Eto'o played a major role in the legend of Lionel Messi that we know today.
Man, we just had a whole thought experiment. If it weren't for him, who knows where Messi would have been at? Or that treble winner, or Pep Guardiola. So, hey.
I mean,
it makes you think.
It does. It does. It really does make you think. It makes you realize that. And it does make you realize how many of these players that are not praised as much as they need to be have so much influence on players that we do praise. And we need to go down that rabbit hole. We need to track back and see does that influence lie, because the credit does need to be given. The flowers do need to be given to those who gave us the Messi, the Ronaldos, the Moratas, the all of these players who learned from legends who were not as much as praised as much as they should have been. It's something that we need to make sure that we keep an eye on, that we make sure that we are aware of the origin stories, because it's very important, and it could teach us what's going to lead to the next, the next great, the next legend.
So, as always, guys, we thank you for checking out these episodes of Can I Kick It? We're nearing episode 20, so haha.
Yeah, we're there. Closing in on 20.
Right, man. Who would have ever thought we would have had 20 episodes just done almost by the end of the year? That's crazy. On top of what we did for River City 93?
Yeah.
We are in there.
Yep.
As always, guys, you can follow the podcast at River City 93. If you're interested in being a subscriber to the podcast, a link will be down in the description down below. You could be a monthly subscriber to the podcast. We're working on trying to get some benefits on, but we're trying to get more people to join in. I promise you it's not a Ponzi scheme. We're not running off with your money, things like that. Like, it's going to benefit the podcast and give us access to articles and stuff that we have to pay you to read and do the research and things like that. Buy better equipment, things of that nature. So, as always, this is Elliot.
This is Shanir.
We'll holler at you guys later. Keep you guys on the good side.